Welcome back to the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. I'm Ernest, and it's a snow day, if you can see out that door yet. There's a couple inches on the ground from yesterday, and it's been coming down all morning. It's just after lunchtime now. It was supposed to start letting up like an hour ago, and it hasn't, but I think it's not snowing hard enough to stop me from doing this job, so I'm just going to get it done this afternoon. Hopefully it does stop snowing. This car, my customer, drove like 40 minutes away the other day, and they said they thought the head gasket was going out. I don't think it's the head gasket, which is good news if anything. So let's go ahead and see what I found. Well, never mind. It definitely started coming down harder than it was like 15 minutes ago when I got started. I'm going to close this back up, and hopefully it just starts flurrying again. If you could see some oil-soaked snow on that. We've got oil in there. I had some misfire codes for it, so that's what I'm going to start with. Let's get back out here when it's not snowing. Let's put this back up. Okay, here we go, round two. The snow has let up. Doesn't look like it's supposed to snow anymore. Fun. Okay, that's the main issue there. Tons of oil. That's enough that it might hydrolock the motor if I'm not careful, so gotta be careful. That's bad. That one was dry. Okay, put some pig mat over that so we don't spray oil everywhere, and crank her over. Okay, now we can see our wet spots on all of those. So I'm going to go ahead and just start taking off the intake manifold. It actually turned out being a lot trickier than I thought it was going to be just by looking at it first glance, and I couldn't even find the information on all data on how long it was going to take, so I just gave him a conservative estimate on how long I thought this was going to be, and I ended up being a little bit short on that, I think, but no big deal because it didn't take more than like an hour longer than I expected. So if that's the case, I usually just eat the cost myself or don't mention it. Well, there's like some supports on all the different corners of this, and I end up taking off the throttle body to remove the intake manifold, but you don't have to do that. You can just take off the throttle cables. And then once I get underneath there, we're going to see a ton more stuff that I have to deal with. There's a ton of wires in the way as the camera gets bumped out here. I'm just going to start removing a ton of wires, and I'll give you a better look at that in a second. But basically, I'm reaching my arm way down behind the motor just to get one connector that's taking the most time, and everything's pretty well hidden. All right, well, I don't know what to say about these kinds of seals, whether they're good or bad. They have a pro and a con. You can't push them in too far when they have this little ring, but the con is it's really hard to get them out. I just took a screwdriver and just folded over the edge of one of those seals, and obviously you can see here, grabbed it with a pair of vice grips in. After a few attempts, got it to wiggle out. It'll be the same for all 6. But like I said, installation of these is easier because of that lip, so win and lose. So that edge looks like that once I fold it over. And then I just get a pair of vice grips on there. And then it pops out. Alright, let's get this one back in and then we'll do the other one. Alright, well I was just going to get it started by hand and then go find a socket or something that fit this. But watch this seal installation. Tell me that ain't the easiest seal install you've ever seen. Tell me that ain't the easiest seal install you've ever seen. I've got just a little bit of assembly lube. Bang, just like that. That's crazy. Easy peasy. This thing's stiff as a board. Hey, how's it going? Good. Okay, the hardest thing about the install and the removal was definitely, there was 2 hardest things. All these wires I had to get removed. This one went way down there, so I had to sneak my arm back there, and it had a locking tab on the clip, so that was stupid. And you can see a little bit of metal flake on the edge there. That's because there was absolutely no clearance on the edge of this AC compressor. I started to take it loose, and then I realized that was the bracket, not the AC compressor it'd have to clear, and then it barely cleared these 2 bolts here. And going back together, I had to tap it a little bit with a rubber mallet, but if it was any tighter, I would have had to have removed that bracket. You could see this stud right here I had to start to remove because it was poking out the back right there and it wouldn't give any clearance. And I'm telling you, that was the tightest clearance I've seen. I think you're supposed to remove this cable all the way down to the battery and right here, but that gave me just enough room to swing it out, so I left it there. But again, just getting to all these grounds and all the connectors and everything, the E-clips on these and the bolts on the throttle body were definitely the trickiest parts. So not an easy one. I would recommend you have some sort of experience if you're going to tackle this one. I think it's going to take 3 to 5 hours for anybody. Hey, well, the good news is way less wires on this side. I could do it without even undoing that back wire there, wherever that goes. 5-10 minutes, got that out. So I'm worried about this hose is a little bit dry rotted. There's just a few things like that that I'll let the customer know. All right, I've just got the other side put on and everything buttoned up. Trying to double, triple checking everything as I put it together, make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, well, one of the coils broke when I was replacing the boot, so I got a new coil. Let me show you which one it was right here. Just the part that holds on the end. So nothing I can do about that. We just got to replace it. And now I'm ready to tighten all these down and plug them up, and this should run. Okay, I just got everything buttoned up. Moment of truth. Should start, should run fine. There's a vacuum leak. Okay, I'm hoping this is the only issue. When I took this hose off, it was super dry rotted. In fact, you could see in the video, I never even took it off of the valve cover because it was just so dry rotted on that valve cover. I couldn't yank it off by hand, and I thought, I don't want it to crack like it did up here. I got a little cracked mostly on the underside, so I didn't see how bad it was once I got it back on this outlet, and I just put a zip tie around it, hoping that would kind of close everything back up. But based off of what I've seen, now I'm hoping that that's just the main issue and that didn't fix it, because it would be a lot easier to just replace this hose that goes from the valve cover to right there, and it could be a big enough leak to definitely get that idle that we had instead of surging. We'll see. And also, that is why I put a reusable zip tie on there, because I thought I would be taking it back off probably. You can see a little bit of cracks there. Let's see if I can pry it off with something. Okay, well, I did just make that crack on the top worse prying it off, because I just pried it off. I'm gonna replace it, but I don't think I made the crack on the bottom any worse, so it probably already looked like that and I didn't notice. Hopefully that's the main issue right there. Anyways, it comes right here, so let's get my zip tie back. I couldn't pull it all the way off up there. And then get that out and make sure we've got a hose that's the same size, or go get one. And I'm still a little nervous that this might not be the issue. It's the most probable thing causing an issue, but it could definitely be the gasket under there as well, and I'm hoping I don't have to do that. This intake manifold was really weird, and it had like some spring loaded pins that kind of pushed the gasket back out, and I was hoping that didn't push it out so much that it got flipped out of the way or something. If I planned ahead a little better, I would have just gotten some of those gaskets yesterday at the same time and replaced them, but I didn't think about that till I was already in there. And I think this is just on a aluminum outlet here, so I'm just going to try and break the hose off. Pull it off like that. That should come off easy. No, it didn't come off easy yesterday. All right, now I've just got to replace this. My concern is this hose is pretty stretched on this end. A new hose is probably going to be flexible enough to do that, but my concern is this might be a custom molded piece, so I'll see what I can do. Again, hopefully that was a big enough vacuum leak to do that. We'll see. I mean, I guess I could start it with that plugged now and get a good idea, but let's just find a hose. Okay, I don't have any hose that size. I have one a little bigger and one a little smaller, so I'm just going to take this to the auto parts store. They should have something, at least if I need to, maybe an adapter and two different size hoses. We'll see. All right, here's my secret trick. I usually go to like the straight tubing that just comes on reels first on a coil, but if it's like a weird size or has a weird bend, then I'll come to like the custom cut tubes in the back, and even though, you know, I don't know what car this fits, I'll just compare it to a bunch of different hoses and see which one's most similar. Usually I'll find a hose that's like 3 feet long but has a bend similar to this in it, and it's the right size, and I'll go with that. I'll show you what I find. Right, you see that one up there? I think that's a good shape. All right, there we go. That'll work with just a little bit of bend in it. Okay, now because I have this hose that's not preformed for that, I'm gonna make sure, since those two ends looked like they were a little bit different sizes, oh, bummer, that I don't get a leak by employing some hose clamps on this. That'll just make sure that this hose isn't a little too big on accident, which if it is, that'll make up for it. And I think I'm gonna have to cut it about right here. The rest of that will wrap around nicely. Wrap around. And that, my dudes, is a perfect fit. No need for a hose clamp on that side. That's exactly how it was fit on before. Again, this side's a little more narrow, so I might just need one hose clamp. All right, I'm gonna flip this hose clamp around so it's easier to tighten when I'm done. And just snake that right down to there. Which you can see, we will need a hose clamp. You can see that. Can you see that? Okay, I got that tight. It's not going anywhere. And yeah, you can see it's just pinching the hose a little, so just had to get it barely tight on there. That's up on there, perfect. Got those tightened up now that I'm done with everything here, so fingers crossed this doesn't have a high idle now. Let's see. Please, please, please. That was even worse. All right, so I just had to do a couple of jobs, just got back from that, and I just got a new gasket, so hopefully I can have this replaced in less than like 45 minutes. I think I've got it down pretty good because I've already tinkered around with everything so much. Well, I'll let you know when I get everything out, and hopefully it's just that. The gasket, like I said, was really flat, and the leak sounds like it's coming from all over. Okay, hopefully it comes with new seals for those as well. That would be nice. I noticed it came with like those blue seals and those black seals, so hopefully one of those is that. Let's see, I couldn't get this off. Yeah, that's what those blue ones are. Perfect. The little ring part faces down. That's what I needed to know. I don't think those are causing an issue, but it'll be nice to get new ones of those. Clean this up. Lots of oil that was in there from when I flipped it around, and look at how flat those are. That's what I was saying. I wish I had just thought of it in the first place. I didn't know if that was going to seal up very well. Okay, here's what I was saying about those spring-loaded things. Right here, these things pop up, so I'm worried about those making the seal come out of place. We'll find out. Okay, all those stayed down. Let's get the new seal. I couldn't find just the upper, so we got some lowers in here too, but I'm not doing that. There's coolant that runs in there. That's a whole other job. Okay, got the blue ones on there. Let's go ahead and replace this. And yeah, that was like 15 minutes to take it out, so Should be done in like 45 like I was hoping. And hoping this is where that leak was. But it was obviously the most likely. Okay, just got everything put back together. It's been 45-50 minutes. Okay, here's the moment of truth, fingers crossed. Oh yeah, that's it. Problem solved. All right, let me test drive this, make sure we don't still have any misfires or anything. Burning off a bit of that oil, and let me tell you, I'm relieved. So if you like this episode, you got to make sure that you're subscribed and you leave this video a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did I miss something? I think maybe I should have just planned for that gasket in the first place, but that's kind of hard to just throw in a bunch of stuff on a job that I'm not even planning on doing. Let me know what you think, how that makes most sense to go about warning customers this might happen or just planning for it. Well, if you like this episode, check out the next one up here. You can donate the links in the description if you want to buy me some lunch. I'll see you on the next episode right up here. That's a job well done.